So this happened about 2.5 years ago, and it was when I was dating my ex-boyfriend. Some prior context that is necessary is that my boyfriend was dating one of his ex-girlfriends. He was telling me that his ex-girlfriend was like a twin, but you know how sometimes one twin will consume the other in the womb? So that happened to her, and then she always said that like the twin she consumed in the womb was like her spirit guide, or like always looking over her in a protective way. And so my ex told me that his ex-girlfriend, his twin, like the twin that got consumed, was basically telling his ex-girlfriend that my ex had like a lot of dark energy and like really sinister energy like around him, following him. And so then, yeah, flash forward to me dating my ex-boyfriend. He lived in a really old townhouse, and we had been dating for a while. Like we were dating for probably close to a year before the incident happened. And so basically one night we're watching a movie, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna go use the bathroom. And so since it's a townhouse, there's one bathroom upstairs, one bathroom downstairs. And so obviously we always use the downstairs bathroom when we're in the living room watching TV because it's more convenient. The thing with the downstairs bathroom is like the way that the door opens is like, here's the toilet, the door opens this way, so you have to like open the door and like skirt around it to get to the toilet and also the light switch. So most of the time we would just like use the bathroom in the dark because it was easier that way. And then the way that the bathroom looked is like, here's the toilet, and then directly across from the toilet is the washer and dryer. And then next to the washer and dryer, there was like a little gap that went in. It's like a little mini hallway. And so he had like a bunch of like storage and shelves and the cat's litter box in there. So, okay, yeah. So one night I was watching a movie. He's like, I gotta go pee. I'm like, all right. So he goes to use the bathroom, obviously in the dark, because like we're just so used to doing that. And shortly after he goes, he comes, I hear like a blood curdling scream, and he comes running out to me, and he's like as white as paper, and he's freaking out, and he was like, something was in there and it tried to touch me. And I was confused because like in the year that I had been dating my ex-boyfriend, I had never seen him react that way to anything. So I was just like, okay, calm down, like, what do you mean? And he was like, after I like went pee and I was going to leave, I saw something standing in the hall, in like the little hallway next to the washer and dryer, and I started screaming, and as I went to ran past it, that's when I felt it like touch me. So I was like, okay. And so like he was shirtless, like he was watching the movie shirtless. So I was like, all right, well, turn around, let me see. And so he had a really long scratch from like his shoulder blade down to like his side. It was like 3 scratches like that all the way down. So I took a picture of it and I showed him it, and I was like, okay, this is on your back, and like obviously you did not have this when we were watching the movie, like I would have noticed that. So I had to be the rational one because he was freaking out. So I was like, all right, we're gonna go stay at your parents tonight, we're not gonna stay here because even I'm too scared to stay here, and we'll figure it out in the morning. So we go to his whatever. So we come back the next morning. Before we had left that night, we turned on every single light, including the bathroom light. Like we went in there with our flashlights and turned the bathroom light on and shut the door. So every single light in the townhouse was on. When we came back the next morning, every single light was still on except for the bathroom, and the door was open. And we were just kind of like, okay, I mean, the door, how did that open? We don't know. However, the light could have like burnt out because we left it on all night. So we like turn our phone flashlights back on, we go in there, the switch was turned off. We were like, okay. So we turn it back on, the lights on, we shut the door. We're like, all right, let's just shower. So we go to take a shower. Every time me and my ex-boyfriend showered together, we shut the bathroom door because it was just like always really cold. So we shut the bathroom door. Obviously, when you shower with the door shut, it gets very foggy and steamy and like warm. So we're showering. After we're done, we step out of the shower. The bathroom is ice cold and there's no fog, which has never happened before. So we were like, wow, that's really different. So we leave the bathroom. We're getting ready for the day. We hear a sound, and we see like the cats like bolt upstairs. So we look downstairs and look at the bathroom, and we see that the door is open and the light is turned back off. And once again, we are just like, wow, that is really crazy. So then we like went and bought some sage and some other stuff to like cleanse the house, whatever. And after that night, I refused to ever sleep there again or to ever be there alone. And pretty shortly after that, we ended up breaking up anyway. So since I was barely there anymore after that incident and we broke up pretty quickly, I don't know if other weird stuff happened or like what else went on, but it was like a very terrifying night. And I'm not even religious, but I have a gold cross necklace that my grandma gave me. And after that night, I started wearing it for a while.
I did not believe in ghosts until Monday night. My whole life, I just have never, I'm just naturally skeptic about, like, the good spirits and the bad spirits. Like, I have a hard time believing in anything, you know? My husband believes in everything. So, you know, he's claimed to have spirits visit him throughout his life, you know, and things like that. But I have just always been like, okay, yeah, I believe that you believe you saw that. But then, like, you know, I don't know. I have a hard time with that. Monday night, though, I was laying in bed. My bed faces the door, which was open, and then there's the hallway, which is just a wall. Okay, so my husband was playing video games, and sometimes he comes up and checks on me, and then he goes back down. So I see a shadow of what I had no reason other than to believe that was him come check on me and leave. So I called him and I was like, hey, can you come back upstairs? I want to talk to you for a second. And then he was like, oh, no, I'm in the basement. What do you mean? I was never upstairs. And I was like, oh, okay. Someone's in the house. Come upstairs. Grab your weapon and come upstairs. So he runs upstairs with his weapon. We're looking around the house. This is all happening very quickly. There's nowhere that anyone could have gone in that amount of time where we wouldn't have found them. So, I mean, at this point, I'm not thinking anything paranormal still. I'm just thinking like someone's in my house. So I'm checking on my babies. I looked everywhere in my kids' rooms. My daughter was asleep on my floor because she wasn't feeling good. So I looked in my room. Everything was good. There was no one there. No windows were open. No doors were unlocked. So we go downstairs. We kind of start talking about it. He's already convinced himself that it's paranormal. So he's called his family members that have also seen paranormal things in their lifetime. And he's talked to them. And we go upstairs and we see like where the light was, and I'm like, okay, something else had to have happened. Like something else could have cast that shadow. Like maybe there was a bug fly in front of the light or something. Like let's just mess around with the light, see what could have caused the shadow. The only way that I found that could have cast a shadow the way that it would have had to have been a very, very tall person to cast from where I saw on the wall all the way down. And it would have had to have been standing in the nursery doorway. So I think that's weird, but I'm still, I'm not going to that place. Like, it just, okay, I kind of am now, I guess. I should be honest. I kind of am thinking about it, but not like I'm still in denial. So I'm looking around. We don't see anything. I don't have, like, a bad feeling or anything. I feel pretty neutral. People say like that you can feel evil energy. I don't know, but I didn't feel anything. So, I was downstairs, kind of just like looking around, and then my husband went into the nursery, starts yelling, "Get the babies!" So he picks up what happened was he saw the spirit that he had seen throughout his childhood standing above our daughter in her crib. And so we were out of that house in 20 seconds in the car on the way to my mom's house. Like, that's just, we were gone. We were not risking anything. I'm a skeptic, but I'm not stupid. I'm getting out of there. So then we have animals. So we had to go back in the morning to go feed our animals. He went with my dad. My dad went to go, check things out. I stayed at my mom's house with my babies. They came back. They were like, nothing's weird. We didn't feel anything. All good. So now I'm not worried. We went back at night to feed the animals dinner. We're like, okay, we're going to stay at the house one more time just because, we're still like a little freaked out of what it could have been because I know what I saw. I know that someone was there. Like, I don't know. I know that I saw something. So I'm still a little freaked out. So I go over there with my husband to feed the dog, but I'm not even worried. So I open the door, not even scared. And every cabinet and every drawer in my kitchen was wide open. My husband didn't leave it that way. My dad said that they were all closed when they left. Like, and then I went into each of my rooms, each of like my kids' rooms and my room, and all the drawers were wide open. I went into my bathroom, wide open. My cabinets were wide open. So I was freaked out. I was out of there. We called my parents, they came. All four of us were walking through the house, trying to see like if something was taken, trying to see if like someone had broken into my house. There was nothing taken. There were no like entrances of the home that were left unlocked or like weirdly opened or anything. Any of the valuable stuff in my house was still there. Like, so it didn't look like someone had broken in, but I don't know. So I am feeling weird about it. I do feel, I don't know, like I sound crazy being like, there's a ghost in my house, but I don't know. Like I'm freaked out now. So now what I'm going to do about it is I'm going to go and I'm going to salt the outside of my house. I'm going to go give it a good sage. I'm going to get a religious leader to come bless the home, kind of say prayer over everything, and we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated. But now I have like my cameras working, and because my cameras were there, but they weren't like, I have like a blink camera, and so my notifications and like movement was off. So now I have it on, and it'll notify me if there's any movement or activity. I don't know. I feel stupid saying this, but I'm scared. I don't know how to like explain some of that. But yeah, keep you guys updated.
If you're laying in bed and you actually want to sleep tonight, then you should skip this. For the rest of us who like scaring the shit out of ourselves, welcome. When I was a kid, my best friend asked a Ouija board how old she was going to be when she died. Okay, spoiler, it told her 22. Probably wondering, did she die at 22? I'm going to tell you a story that only 3 people know. Well, 2, because one of them is dead. This story starts about 20 years ago when Christina and I were about 12. We were inseparable and we used to hang out with her older sister all the time. We were at their house a lot. It looked like a normal suburban house on the outside, but I swear you walked in and it was like a portal to the underworld. This house scared the absolute shit out of me. I would hear screams coming from the attic and I would look down this long, dark, creepy hallway, see dark figures like motioning up when I'm trying to sleep at night. To make matters worse, we would sit in her room with the lights dim, pull out the Ouija board, and play all the time. But here's the thing, it only ever worked for Christina. It was like she had some weird connection to it. Naturally, her sister and I always thought this was fake, and she was just doing it for attention because it would move so fast all over the place, telling us everything. Never worked when we did it alone, so we were a little bit suspicious. Whatever ghost was on the other side of this had diarrhea of the mouth. This was not like you see on the horror movies where it's like, oh, this is slowly moving to yes or no. Like, no, this was like a T9 texting expert ghost that word vomited constantly. So one day we had just finished watching Big Fish, and in that movie there is this creepy old witch, and you can ask her how old you're going to be when you die. Christina loved this idea. Next thing you know, she's pulling out the Ouija board and immediately asking, how old am I going to be when I die? Planchette slowly starts to move towards the numbers, and it hovers over the 2, and then it takes a little bit of a movement back and comes right back to the 2. Christina didn't even skip a beat. She grabs her red notebook that she wrote down all of the answers the Ouija board said in it, wrote down, age I'm gonna die, 22. Completely calm. Little did we know, something was set in motion and some weird shit started happening for the next 10 years. About a year after the Ouija board incident, Christina's middle school boyfriend tragically died. He was babysitting his 3-year-old little sister, hanging a rope swing for her in the backyard. The parents got home, found the little girl screaming in the backyard, looking at her brother hanging by the tree. He accidentally got tangled in the rope and hung himself. He had been dead for about 3 hours. While Christina was upset about this, she wasn't hysterical, more so distant. And she said to me, I think I'm gonna see him again soon. I just don't see myself growing old. I can't be that upset about it because something like that might happen to me. For the sake of being able to sleep at night, I wrote off a lot of these things. Christina and I grew apart over the years. A couple of other creepy things happened here and there, but for the most part, I think she had a pretty normal life. She got a job, got a fiance, seemed pretty happy from what I could tell. So now we're about 21 and Christina's wedding is coming up. I didn't go to the wedding, but I saw this footage later. Christina's standing at the altar, all smiles, having just been married, trying to take photos with her family. Softly in the background, you hear a little girl singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider. Christina yells super loudly, Kenna, it's time to take photos. And the camera just slowly pans left. And then you get a great view of this beautiful little flower girl sitting in a pew, holding a Bible upside down, singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider. She shuts the Bible, takes a couple of steps towards the aisle, and slowly walks forward. I shit you not, this 3-year-old looks up at this bride and says, "Christina, are you gonna die soon?" Freaked out when she heard this, which would be a normal response, but I heard her talk about death so many times as a teenager and just how it didn't faze her that it was a little bit odd to hear her talking about it like this. I really think it's because she was 5 months pregnant. Things had changed for her. About a year after the wedding, Christina was at a cabin with her family in the mountains having some celebration. Everyone was there, including her newborn son. It seemed like one of those days where nothing could go wrong. Her family always had a 4-wheeler that we would take around the mountains and have a really good time on. At some point in the afternoon, her and a friend decided to take it out for a ride. But that day, something was different. As they rode through the trails, everything seemed all right until Christina screamed, "The brakes aren't working." They flew off of a cliff. Both of them were rushed to the hospital. Christina didn't make it. She died on the way there. 22.
So I had to hop on this trend because I could literally make a whole entire series about all the experiences I have had growing up, especially in the house that I grew up in. But I'll start with one really creepy story that literally gave me chills and still freaks me out to this day. When I was younger, my family had Korean exchange students that lived in our house, and one of the students shared a room with me, so we had a bunk bed, and she took the bottom and I took the top. And during this time, my dad had removed all of the doors to all the rooms in our basement because we were getting new carpet. And so I wanted a little bit more privacy. So for Christmas, my grandma gifted me some door beads, but they didn't come to the floor all the way. They were about a foot off of the floor. And my sister Callie would always come in and just steal my clothes, my makeup, whatever she wanted to use. And I was a pretty light sleeper, so she would slide under the door beads to come in the morning before school and to not wake me up. There was one particular night where my exchange student was visiting her uncle in another state for Thanksgiving. So I was alone in my room. It was nighttime, everybody was in bed, and it was dark, and I heard my door beads. So I looked over and I see what looks like my sister, just like her silhouette, and she's got long, curly hair, and she was crawling on all fours with her hair, and her hair was like hanging in front of her face, and she was crawling on all fours, sliding under the door beads, and I could see the door beads like hitting against her back as she slid under. And once she got under, she like hurried to the end of my bed where the closet was at the foot of my bed. So I was thinking to myself, like, oh, I caught her in the act this time. I'm going to totally tell her that I knew she was stealing my clothes. So I snuck to the edge, to the end of the bunk bed. And I just tried to scare her. And when I looked over the end of my bed, there was nobody there. So I just started screaming, and then my sister ended up running down the hall, and she came in and turned on my light, and she's like, what? And I was just like, and I just freaked out and told her what had happened. But that was one time that was super, super creepy.
Okay, so I have a couple stories, but there's one main one that I will never forget. It will always freak me out. And it happened in my house when I was in high school. So I'll share the first story that led up to this main event, and then I'll talk about what really happened. So basically, I was in the 6th grade and I was having a sleepover with my friend, And I had no idea what a Ouija board was. No one's ever told me. This was like, early 2000s at this point. And, I just wasn't educated on it. And so, of course, me being a sixth grader, thinking it was a board game, I'm like, yay, board game. Like, let's try something new. And so we were playing it. Nothing was really going on. Like, we were asking some silly questions like, oh, who am I going to marry when I'm older? And it wasn't really saying a whole lot. But looking back on it, something that kind of freaks me out is when we asked who we were talking to, it went to a Z. And I'm not going to talk any further on that. If you know, you know. And so we went upstairs to go get some, water, some snacks, stuff like that. My parents asked me, what are you guys doing downstairs? And we say, we're playing the Ouija board. And my parents are like, nope, absolutely not. You are not playing that. Please stop doing that. And so we went downstairs, we closed it up. And what followed after that freaked me out. So we heard some voices that night, nothing crazy, honestly. It wasn't like the super dramatic thing. But for years, I started hearing voices. I started seeing some things like people calling out my name in the middle of the night. I saw something in my closet, just like random things here and there. I vividly remember when I was younger, this was middle school now. I don't remember the exact time, but my siblings were, young. And we were home alone. My parents were traveling that day. And so they were coming back home. We were alone. Our babysitter had left. And we all, for some reason, looked down to the right. And so that's where our hallway was. And we had a really long extended hallway. And then our parents' doorway was facing where that hallway was. And so we all look over at the same time. It was the weirdest thing. And we see this man, like this really, really tall man standing there. And all of us say nothing. And we see this man turn and walk down the hallway. And so I look at them and I'm like, did you see that? And they're like, yeah. And I don't know what made us do this, but we went throughout the house and started trying to find if there was a man in the house. And if you've seen any horror movies, it's definitely not what you're supposed to do. Like, don't do that. But for some reason, that was, the mindset at the time. And we searched everywhere. Nothing was there, So there was no man. And we start moving on knowing that, we had just seen some random dude in our house and he disappeared. And so for years after that, nothing crazy really happened. Again, sometimes I'd hear somebody walking in the house when I was home alone or like in the middle of the night, but I just ignored it, tried not to give it any mind. But this is where the main event happens. So my brother passed away when I was in high school. And he lived in Tennessee with, my other family. My parents are, not together. So that side of the family, told me the news. And I went out and, flew out for the funeral. And so the day after the funeral, when I was flying home, my stepmom had lost her keys. And I went into her bathroom. She sets things in weird places. So she told me to look in her bathroom, look in her closet just to see if she dropped it, try to find, where the keys are so we can leave and go to breakfast together before I have to get on the plane. And I don't know what it was, but I felt such a difference in the air. Like the atmosphere went cold. I can't describe it. But if you've experienced something like this, it's a very eerie feeling. I felt like I was isolated, even though there were 3 other people in the house, but I was alone in that room. And all of a sudden I felt like metaphorically cornered in the closet. And I heard my name being called with my brother's voice. And it's like time stopped. I knew it wasn't him because I thought that if it really was him, I wouldn't be freaked out. I wouldn't be feeling such a dark, gross feeling. Mind you, I'm already emotional because, I loved my brother and he had just passed away. And so hearing his voice was like weird. and it was emotional for me. And I ran out of that room because I felt like whatever was talking to me was not him and it wasn't safe. So I ran out, and my stepmom had been calling for me for 10 minutes and I didn't hear her. So literally, it's like time had stopped. So I told them about this at breakfast, and they're like, "Oh, I wish, like, you know, he would talk to me." And I'm like, "But it wasn't him. Like, this is the weird thing. It wasn't him." Right? And so I go home, months go by, nothing happens. I'm grieving my brother, like, you know, I'm sad. And I talk to him sometimes, you know, at that point. I still do, but, you know, at this, you know, during this story, I was talking to him sometimes, and whatever it was that talked to me at my stepmom's house followed me to my house in Minnesota. So I was in Tennessee. That's where the first event happened. I'm back in Minnesota at my mom's house where, you know, the Ouija board thing had happened. We're keeping that in mind. So I go to bed one night. I'm the only one that lives upstairs, right? And so that's where like the front door is. My bedroom at the time was right next to the front door. And so we had a staircase going downstairs, and that's where my parents and my siblings were. My mom would stay upstairs in the kitchen, you know, dining room area until, you know, sometimes later in the night, just getting projects done. She's a very crafty person. So I went to bed knowing that she was, you know, kind of within the vicinity. I felt safe. And what I did was I always closed the doors and closed the blinds before I went to bed because, you know, I had experienced some things. I was a little freaked out. And I had already some nights experienced sleep paralysis. And, you know, I was already kind of on edge about that. So close all the blinds, close the doors. And I had my radio on, and I start, you know, kind of dozing off, and my radio sounds slower and like distorted all of a sudden. And I'm like, something's about to happen. And it did. So I felt like I heard the doors opening, but I was like, no, I'm going crazy. Like, there's nobody else that would be. But it was both doors, like my closet door and my door to my bathroom that I heard opening. And I'm like, there's not two people in my room. Like, there's no way. And I didn't even hear my room door open, the main door. And so I can't get up. It's like I am, you know, I'm in sleep paralysis. I can't do anything. I can't talk. I can't open my eyes. I can't move. And all of a sudden I feel myself getting up, and I'm like, this isn't me. This isn't me. And so I feel myself get out of bed, like, but I don't feel like I'm in control of my own body. And I feel myself, like, you know, reach my hand out for my door. And I feel the doorknob. I start, you know, opening my door. And all of a sudden I hear my brother's voice come from my bathroom, and him saying, "Maddie, I need to talk to you." And I don't know how, but somehow, some way I was able to talk in that moment. And I'm like, no, get out. Like, I know this isn't you. I don't want to hear it. And I don't know what it was, but it was like, okay, I'll leave. Like, okay, you'll leave. Okay. But here I am, like, kind of traumatized because, you know, it's my brother's voice again. And I'm still grieving. Like, this is only a couple months after he passed. And so I'm like, well, what if it was my brother? And I carried on that guilt for so long, thinking like, well, what if it was him? Like, but it was that creepy feeling again. And I'm like, you know what? If this is really my brother, there is no way that he would do this to me, that he would like freak me out, that he would like try to do all this stuff. Like, there's just no way. I feel like he would come and try to peacefully talk to me and have a conversation. But, you know, that's a whole other conversation. And so I open my eyes, like after I muster enough courage, you know, I open my eyes and all my doors are open, all of them. And nobody was upstairs. My mom is already fast asleep at this point. It was like midnight. And I know this story sounds crazy.
I got one for you. So when I was 19, I moved into this house after a breakup, and I found this room on Facebook Marketplace. This girl was selling her room or whatever, subleasing it, and it was, I think, $250 a month. And I was like, yeah, let's go. So I moved into this place, and it is a very old home. It was made out of local stone, and it was on this block that all the houses were made out of local stone, and if they weren't made out of local stone, they would not still be standing. I'll just say that. They're very old. So this house had been converted into separate apartments, and I was living in a room that you had to walk through a bathroom to get to, and this room was also connected to another bedroom, but we just put like furniture in front of it, so it kind of felt like a bedroom. So that's where I was staying. And the first night that I was sleeping there, I was woken up out of a dream, don't know what I was dreaming about, and I saw this woman just like hovering over me, looking at me. And I looked at her for a few seconds, and when she realized I was looking at her, I just saw her eyes get really wide, and she looked nervous, and she disappeared. And I've never really given that a lot of credit because I was waking up out of a dream. You know, sometimes you just see things. I don't know. But then the next day when I was leaving to go do something else, you know, I was opening my door, going through the bathroom to get out of the house. I swore that I saw someone like crouched in the corner of the shower. And I thought that was weird. But because the night before and how I was like, that was probably just a dream. I'm probably just paranoid right now. I'm not going to give it any credit. So time goes on, right? And I get a cat. Love the little thing. She's precious. And it gets to a point where, you know, I'm 19. I'm full-time college student. Her food was more expensive than mine, and I couldn't afford to keep her anymore. So one of my friends took her, and I noticed as soon as she was gone that things started to get a little hairy. Like from that day forward till I moved out, every single day something happened. Didn't matter if it was daytime, nighttime, or anything. But that little figure that I had seen crouched in the shower was a little boy. And he was very upset that my cat was not there anymore. So what did he do? He terrorized me. Like, it got to the point where I had to rearrange my room so when I would wake up and roll over in the middle of the night, I wouldn't see him because he would stand in the corner where I had my cat's stuff as if like protesting that she was gone. And that was every single night from that point on. During the day, I would have hangers and clothes fly out of my closet. Did not matter. Door would open, closet and clothes would just fall out. And it became a normal thing, you know, like I would see him and I wouldn't think twice about it because I didn't want to engage. I didn't want to encourage it. So what I would do is I wouldn't say anything. If he was really scaring me, I'd go to someone else's house. I just dip out because, you know, like child spirits, you don't really know if it's a real child or not. I think this was a real child because he was just throwing tantrums and taking it all out on me. The scariest thing that ever happened with him, though, was I was doing laundry one day. I guess my cat had probably been gone for a couple months now, and I'd become adjusted to seeing him. It wasn't anything new. And I was folding my laundry on my bed, and I watched him crawl out of my closet, look at me, and crawl underneath my bed. It actually makes me sick to my stomach, even thinking about it, because I don't know if you've seen any scary movie. It was horrifying. So yeah, I dipped. I didn't come back for like 2 days because that was horrifying. And before I left, though, I did get on my hands and knees and look under the bed to see if he was there. One of the bravest moments of my life, he wasn't. And at that point, I was already done. You know, I didn't care that I didn't see him. I was done. So, I mean, my laundry was clean. It didn't matter. I dipped. And from that point on, it never got that bad again. But he was almost always in the shower when I would be leaving. And the way that our bathroom was set up, like the mirror faced the shower, and there would be times where like I would be getting ready. I'm crying. I would be getting ready, and I would see his little stinking head pop up in the mirror. And I had to start sleeping with a face mask. because I would roll over in the middle of the night and he would either be in the corner of my cat's stuff or he would be at the end of my bed or he'd be in another corner. Like it was something straight out of Insidious. And I'd say that's one of the worst ghost stories I have at that house, definitely, because I never saw that woman again. There was one figure I kept seeing in the kitchen, but I never saw their face. They only stood with their back to me. So, I think our timelines were just crossing or something. But no one else in the house that lived there ever had any encounters that I know of. And yeah, so that's how I was terrorized by a little child, ghost, spirit, for having to get rid of a cat, for being poor, essentially.
I made this recording 10 minutes. I don't know if it's going to take that long, but this story is a rabbit hole and it made me believe in the paranormal forever. My boyfriend and I had a spiritual attachment for 9 months. Started about a year ago when we went to see his family in South Carolina and go to a cemetery. We went with the siblings to play Find My Grave with a spirit box. Find My Grave is basically like you ask the spirit box questions and see if the spirit like guides you to their grave, basically gives you clues and whatever. So we start doing this, and all of a sudden we hear these music notes coming out of a spirit box that were going da-da, da-da. And that was kind of the spirit's answer as yes, so like we would say, is your grave over here? It would go da-da. Were you a man? Da-da. And then we were like, wait, were you a music teacher? And it goes da-da. So that was pretty crazy. We walked all around the cemetery trying to find this spirit, very active with us. And then all of a sudden, everything went silent for like 25 minutes. So then we were kind of like, okay, whatever, maybe this is BS. So we started to nickname this guy Music Man throughout this whole thing. So we, at the end, decided to leave. And we were like, okay, bye, Music Man. And after 25 minutes of silence, it goes, Dana. And we were like, holy crap. Is this recording? Okay. So a few days go by. We go home. I used to work in an art gallery, which I believe was haunted. So I turn on the spirit box. I was alone in the art gallery, and I was like, is there anybody here? Whatever. And the first thing that happens is Dana. So I felt a little unsettled, but I was like, okay, maybe there's something wrong with the spirit box. Like this has just all been BS. Like it's just like a malfunction in the spirit box or whatever. Until I go on another ghost investigation with a psychic that I trust, and I go with my boyfriend. Turn on the spirit box. Starts going, Dana. The psychic goes, I'm seeing 6 people in a cemetery going with a spirit box. I'm seeing like a really old cemetery. I'm seeing a lonely man. I'm seeing a lost grave. You have something with you. And we were like, whoa, how did you know how many people were with us? You're seeing a lost grave? And she's like, yes, you have someone with you. He really likes your energy. He died alone. Yada, yada, yada. And we're like, oh God. And so during this time, the spirit box is going, Dana, 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 Dana. Okay. Fast forward to our next ghost investigation. We are in Griffith Park, and I have this on camera. I will post it again so you can see. So we're doing a ghost investigation. We hear the Dana, Dana, Dana over and over again. And then finally, the spirit box says, and I have this on camera, Music Man. He started to identify what we were calling him, his nickname. And I start crying. I get really emotional, and I'm like, your name is Music Man. How? And then he finally speaks for the first time, and he has this accent. And he goes, I'm proud of it. Over and over again, I'm proud of it. And he goes, family, and all this kind of stuff. And it made us really emotional. Yeah, okay. So here's the next thing. We do another ghost investigation. Okay. The Dana thing is happening. He also likes doing opera. He'll go, ah, ah. So he's like adding other music, but it's him. At this point, like, it's him. Okay. I don't even really know how to describe it. But anyways, he starts to send us a message. During this ghost investigation, and I have this all on camera, he says the number 34 at least 25 to 30 times. He keeps going 34, 34, 34, 34. And we're like, what are you trying to tell us? And he doesn't tell us what he's trying to say. Okay. So then the next day, I'm going on an Instagram live. I also have this on camera. And I turn on the spirit box and I'm telling my audience what was going on with the 34 thing. And all of a sudden, in front of everyone on the live, he starts saying 34, 34, 34. So many people saw this happening. And we're like, what does this number mean? What is going on? I looked at plot lines at the cemetery we were at. I looked at codes. I looked at angel numbers, and I looked at everything. And I still haven't found the real answer to what 34 was, okay? But this gets even better, so just keep watching. At this point, I'm just using Music Man in my ghost investigations. I'm like, hey, can you see if there's another spirit? Like, can you bring them out and whatever? And can you protect us? Whatever. Okay, this is when it gets crazy. My boyfriend's looking for something for me for Christmas, and I love the Misfits. They're like one of my favorite bands, and he is at a vintage store. And in the back of a rack is this shirt, no context, Misfits font, and it says Music Man. And he got it for me for Christmas. But it was weird. Why was that sitting in the back? This lady said at the store that it's been there for a while. No one knows where it came from or what it is. I know there's like the musical Music Man, but it didn't look like one of those theater musical shirts, right? Okay, I have it. I'll show it to you guys. Okay, this is the shirt, Music Man. There's nothing, no more information about it anywhere on the shirt. It just says Music Man, okay? I go ghost investigating a store. I hear the Dana, and I'm like, hey, Music Man, like, whatever. And he goes, present, in his voice, in his, like, howdy voice. I'm going, like, what? Like, what are you trying to say? And he goes, Christmas present. He literally said Christmas present. He is such an intelligent spirit. And I know you guys are going to start saying like, oh, he's negative, whatever. Blah, blah. No, he never was. Like he felt in a weird way like family. And I'm not trying to like sound crazy. I got info about him from multiple psychics and they're like, no, he died alone. And like everyone I've told this story to feels like he was left on earth for some reason to learn a lesson, to figure out something, to be a part of something he wasn't a part of in his life. Like he wanted to experience something. And now I think we went to the Clown Motel and he was there with us. I have it all on camera too on my YouTube. And I'm like, oh, that's Music Man. And he's going, dun dun whatever. He's like very reactive. And then all of a sudden, after that investigation, he's gone. He hasn't talked to us since. And we're trying to wonder why, like what happened. And like sometimes we joke, we're like, oh, we miss him, whatever. And I mean, obviously, like, no, it's not good to like have an attachment around you all the time. But we wondered why, like, what was the moment? Like, why did he finally leave after 9 months of just trying to send us messages and being so responsive and being so aware of our lives? Like, what lesson did he learn? And that's what I'm still trying to figure out. And I don't care if you guys don't believe me or not, but this is a very real thing that happened to me. And I have footage for most of this to back it up. So if you're curious to learn more, or if you know anything about why this happened or about the number 34, like, please let me know, because this is what made me believe in the paranormal. It was him saying Music Man on the spirit box, him sending us messages multiple times. The Christmas present thing at the end was just like so insane. And I'm still trying to just like figure it out. And I wish I knew the reason, but that's my story. Thank you for watching. If you watched this far, I appreciate it. And yes, this is the craziest paranormal story I have had so far.